Welcome back to the Daily Crypto Roundup. If you've been with us from the very beginning, thank you for sticking around. If you're new here, hit follow right now so you don't miss the next update, because today we're doing something a little different. If you've been in crypto long enough, you've heard the phrase before. Every year, people in the space joke about Uptober, the idea that October is Bitcoin's month to shine. But is it just a meme? Or is there real history, data, and analysis behind it? By the end of this, you'll know why Uptober matters, what scenarios are realistic, and how you should be thinking about positioning yourself. So let's start with history, because Uptober isn't something people pulled out of thin air last week. Since 2013, Bitcoin has posted positive returns in October in 8 of the last 10 years. That's an 80% hit rate. And some of those Octobers weren't just small bumps, they were the start of massive rallies. In 2017, Bitcoin began October around $4,400, and by the end of the month it was closing in on $6,500. That's a 50% gain in 4 weeks, and it set the stage for the parabolic run that carried Bitcoin to nearly $20,000 by December. Fast forward to 2020. The pandemic crash earlier that year had sent Bitcoin all the way down to the $4,000 range in March, but by October it was starting to stabilize. Then Uptober kicked in, and Bitcoin exploded from $10,800 at the start of the month to $13,800 by Halloween. That rally didn't stop. 2 months later, Bitcoin broke its old all-time high and ran through $20,000, launching the bull market that defined 2021. And speaking of 2021, Uptober was legendary. Bitcoin went from $43,000 on October 1st to over $61,000 by the end of the month. That was also the year the first US Bitcoin ETFs were approved, adding rocket fuel to the narrative. Uptober wasn't just a fun meme that year. It was the tagline for one of the biggest runs in Bitcoin history. Of course, not every October has been green. In 2018, during the depths of the bear market, Bitcoin ended October flat, unable to break out of its grinding downtrend. In 2019, October started rough, but was saved by a massive short squeeze mid-month that produced the infamous Xi pump, when Chinese President Xi Jinping made pro-blockchain comments, and Bitcoin spiked 40% in a single day. Still, even that October ended positive. The real outlier was 2022. After the chaos of the Luna and Celsius collapses earlier that year, Bitcoin struggled, and Uptober didn't arrive. Prices stayed stuck under $20,000. And November brought the disaster of FTX. But when you zoom out, 8 out of 10 years have delivered green Octobers, and some of those gains have been massive. Now let's shift to the present. What are analysts saying about Uptober this year? Dean Crypto Trades, a technical analyst followed by more than 200,000 people on X, has been looking at the relative strength of Bitcoin compared to other assets. He pointed out that while the S&P 500 is well above its post-election peak, and gold is also extended, Bitcoin is only about 7% above its own recent local peak. In his words, Bitcoin remains far less extended than equities or gold. Uptober is setting up strong. That's a key point, because it means Bitcoin hasn't overheated yet. It's consolidating just below all-time highs, leaving plenty of room to run if momentum kicks in. Lark Davis, another well-known commentator, has been hammering on the seasonal data. He reminded his followers that every September FOMC meeting since 2020, except for the one in 2022, has been followed by strong Bitcoin gains in October. His post read, "Only one exception in 5 years." The pattern is clear. Uptober is real. He's tying the rally directly to the Federal Reserve's policy calendar. The logic is simple. By late September, markets have digested the Fed's stance. And if there's even a hint of easing or stability, risk assets rally. And Bitcoin tends to lead that rally in October. Mark Newton, the global head of technical strategy at Fundstrat, has also weighed in, saying Ethereum is showing bullish structure and Bitcoin's consolidation looks constructive. He's not guaranteeing a breakout, but his team's research highlights that dips into the $115,000 range are being bought quickly, suggesting strong support under the market. Newton's view is that if momentum builds, Bitcoin could test $125,000 to $130,000 in October. which would be a clean breakout to new highs. Of course, not every analyst is drinking the Uptober Kool-Aid. Some are cautious, pointing to the risk of macro shocks, potential regulatory surprises, or simply the fact that sentiment is very bullish, which sometimes sets up a contrarian trade. But the weight of opinion this year is tilted toward optimism. And importantly, analysts aren't just being vague. They're putting specific numbers on it. $130,000 targets, support at $115,000, historical probabilities. That kind of conviction is what fuels Uptober. But let's not pretend Uptober happens in a vacuum. Macro drivers matter, and right now all eyes are on the Federal Reserve. The FOMC meeting in September is expected to lean dovish, with rate cuts likely before the end of the year. If that plays out, liquidity comes back into the system, and Bitcoin benefits. That's part of the reason Uptober has historically worked. It's not magic, it's timing. By October, the Fed's posture is clearer. Institutions have rebalanced, and money starts to move. Bitcoin's correlation with equities also plays a role. When the S&P 500 rallies in Q4, Bitcoin often rallies even harder. Gold's moves matter too. When gold is strong, it usually signals investors are nervous about fiat or geopolitics, and Bitcoin rides the same wave as digital gold. Right now, gold has been strong, equities are up, and Bitcoin is less extended. That's the recipe Dean Crypto Trades was pointing to. Add in ETF flows, which are still building, and you can see why analysts are leaning bullish. Now, what about altcoins? Historically, Uptober starts with Bitcoin dominance rising. Investors flock into BTC as the safest trade, and once Bitcoin breaks out, profits rotate into alts. In 2017, that rotation hit Ethereum and Ripple in November. In 2020, it was DeFi tokens that took off. In 2021, Solana and Avalanche led the charge after Bitcoin's Uptober rally. This year, eyes are on Ethereum holding the $4,500 level. Solana's resurgence with institutional backing, and meme coins like Dogecoin, which tend to benefit when retail floods back in. Uptober for altcoins usually lags by a few weeks, but the setup is there. Now, let me pause here for a second. Keep your bags safe and keep them in a Ledger hardware wallet. It's cold storage, under your control, and you don't have to worry when the headlines turn crazy. I've dropped a link in the description so you can grab one. Don't be the person scrambling to withdraw after it's too late. Protect your stack now. Now let's talk scenarios, because Uptober isn't guaranteed. There are 3 ways this could play out. The bull case is obvious. Bitcoin breaks out of its current range, smashes through $120,000, and pushes toward $130,000, or even $135,000. That would confirm the seasonal pattern, bring headlines screaming about new highs, and probably ignite a wave of retail FOMO. If that happens, expect alts to follow fast, with Ethereum testing $5,000, Solana pushing above $250, and meme coins doubling. The bear case is that Uptober fizzles. Maybe the Fed surprises with hawkish language, maybe a geopolitical shock hits, or maybe the market just decides to take profits. In that case, Bitcoin could slip back to test $110,000, scaring retail and killing the meme for this year. That's unlikely given the setup, but it's possible. The neutral case is that Uptober is choppy. Bitcoin grinds between $115,000 and $120,000. Teasing a breakout, but not delivering until November or December. That wouldn't be a disaster. It would just mean the rally is delayed, not denied. And history shows that even when October is muted, Q4 tends to be strong. So what should you do with all this? First, understand the history. Uptober isn't random. It's backed by data, with 8 of the last 10 Octobers delivering gains. Second, listen to the analysts. Names like Dean Crypto Trades, Lark Davis, and Mark Newton aren't always right, but they're not making these calls for clicks. They're looking at liquidity, macro, and technicals. Third, manage your risk. Uptober can be explosive, but it can also whipsaw. Don't assume it's a one-way street. And finally, don't forget alts. Bitcoin usually leads, but the rotation is real. If Uptober hits, the whole market will feel it. Let's wrap this up. Uptober is more than a meme. It's a pattern with history, it's a setup with technicals, and it's a narrative with analysts behind it. Bitcoin is consolidating just under all-time highs, liquidity is tightening, and macro winds are shifting in its favor. The pieces are in place. Now it's about execution. If Uptober delivers again, this could be the moment the market remembers as the start of the next big run. If you've enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you hit follow, because we'll be bringing you more long-form episodes like this alongside our daily updates. And let me know what you think. Is Uptober real, or is it just a meme? Drop your thoughts, protect your crypto, and as always, we will see you at the top.